Yeah, I'll go first. So we're all kind of working through these weather disasters in Kentucky together. We talked about it a couple nights ago. Some highlights to give a shout out to Kentucky National Guard, the incredible work they're doing right now. Airlifting 296 people out of apartments in Martin County is pretty incredible. I just think it's important we remember what's going on around this state right now as we continue to pursue basketball. The people are still working night and day to do this. I want to give a huge shout out. There's been so many people that have jumped in and made huge contributions that there's too many to name, but just got a call this morning from Luther Deaton and Central Bank, and they've pledged to make a huge contribution moving forward, which is really cool. And just want to keep encouraging. So grateful for everybody that came to the game the other night and made financial contributions to the Team Kentucky Fund. As of yesterday morning, it was up to $200,000, a little bit over $200,000. Grateful for everybody that is done work there, and hope that we can all kind of keep focused on this. This is not just going to be days, but it's going to be weeks and months and years, and great for everybody that's making the huge contributions, especially this morning, Luther Deaton and Central Bank.
Mark, that analogy you used with Colin was spot on. How do you know so much about bamboo?
I don't. I think that came up on a social media feed at one point. I think I heard someone speak about it a long time ago, but I liked it a lot because it's something we talk about all the time. You see that with all of our young guys, right? You see it with every athlete. That's what happens with athletes is, we're not with them in the quiet moments in the gym or the teary moments in their room or the times they're sweating away in the weight room or trying to rehab in the training room. Like there's hundreds and thousands of hours and years and decades that go into kind of producing these incredible players that we get to watch perform on the court when the lights are on, and so that analogy kind of lives with every player and every athlete, and it was just fun to talk about it with Colin because it's a great example for him.
The first time you guys played Alabama, Ansley said after the game that it was some of their stuff was like improv. They drive and then dish back 20 feet the other way. How tough is it to stay in the defensive lanes knowing that if Sears goes here, he may swing a pass at a 45-degree angle back the other way?
Mark Sears is an incredibly talented player. He's a veteran player. He makes plays for himself and guys around him. He's coming off of a huge game. I think it's his highest scoring game of the season. He can impact the game in so many different ways. Their schemes offensively are, they'll have some play calling for sure, but mostly they work out of actions, then they stack actions. They might go to a double drag, to a text, to a peel high ball screen. They're just stacking actions that are really familiar to them and playing free, and that's what you do with veteran guys in a well-coached team. And it makes it difficult to guard. It's not like you have a play sheet where you're like, okay, this player's going here at this moment. That's mostly basketball right now, but Alabama's taking that to a great level, though certainly one of the top offensive teams in the country.
How much have they changed since you guys played them in January?
I think they're a little more cohesive. I think they're more creative within the structure of the actions that they're running. I think they've gotten better.
Where did you feel like you made some defensive gains in the Vanderbilt game, maybe from Texas to Vanderbilt with this kind of new roster? And is any of that, can you kind of replicate that against a team like Alabama?
Well, Alabama's a whole, that's a whole new situation, right? They're like I said, they're one of, if not the most explosive offensive team in the country. They challenge you in so many different ways, and it's the ultimate challenge for your defense individually and team wise. It'll challenge us in new ways. Over the last 5 games, I'm really proud of what we've done. We were, after Ole Miss, we were sitting there at 112 defensive team in the country, and we've jumped to 68. give or take one or two, depending on what happened last night. And that's a massive jump, and it's been a real commitment by our guys over the last 5 games. I think there's a Torvik stat that over the last 5 games we've had the 13th best defense in the country. That's not somewhere we've lived most of the season. Again, it comes from a few things. One is kind of guys really dialing into a more cohesive, kind of team-oriented, functioning defense. And more importantly, it's guys taking it really, really personally. It's been a lot of things. It's been us being more effective on the defensive glass, us guarding without fouling, us protecting the box. It's kind of been step by step. Our 2-point field goal percentage defense getting better. It's kind of been step by step as we've gone through the last several weeks. And so we're really proud of the progress we made. It's incredibly important. We need to keep growing and improving if we're going to be the team that we'd like to be as we go into the postseason. And Alabama poses the biggest challenge defensively that we could, that we'll probably face this season.
You talked about that point of attack with losing that when Lamont's not out there. What's the balancing act, I guess, of challenging guys like Travis and Colin and really anybody else to do that, knowing you need that, but also that nobody's Lamont?
Well, I have so much faith in our guys. They're certainly being asked to stretch, and there are going to be mistakes. There were mistakes the other night against Vanderbilt, for sure. But they're learning and growing, and they're capable, and we're pushing them to grow as fast as we possibly can. And, I have a lot of faith in those guys and a lot of faith in our team, in our ability to get better. The one thing I know about our team, you can trace it. You can trace it through the data. You can trace it through everything. With every challenge that they've kind of been faced with, that we've presented to them, that the game's presented them, they've risen up and learned it and grown. We're far from perfect, for sure, but this is a group that takes on challenges, and they keep trying to pull closer together. And those are, like we've talked about all season long, those are good foundational pieces for a team that can, that can grow. Certainly we're missing pieces. We would love to get them back. We hope we get them back at some point. But in the meantime, we're going to go compete with what we have, and we're going to do it well. And these young guys are getting an unbelievable opportunity to go learn and grow in games on the court and become the great players that they're destined to become, and it's been fun to watch them.
Ortega scored double figures in every game. How difficult is it for a player to keep that consistency?
Well, he's the only one, isn't he? It's really hard. He's the only one, so it's got to be hard. He's been unbelievable. He is brought a physicality and a emotion and a urgency and a consistency to the game that's unparalleled in the SEC right now, and that's saying a lot. I mean, that probably says more than I could say with words. It's really hard to do, and it's been really impressive to watch him do it.
2 weeks left in the regular season. Even earlier on, you were lamenting about the lack of time to put things together, and now you're talking new season, new team, new group of guys. Runway's getting pretty short. How confident are you that you're going to be able to land this thing entire?
I think we're really confident. I think the game has blessed us in some ways that you might not anticipate. We've been forced an opportunity to rethink a lot of things and pursue a lot of things in a new way, and that just makes you better. And as our guys come back and get healthy and move back into this lineup, they're moving into a better team. Actually, a team that's more established. It's one of the things that I'm really proud about. You think about the limited amount of time, for example, that Lamont Butler played in the last 5 games, and how much better we've gotten it defensively in the last 5 games with his very limited play. That's really hard to do. So you add a full-time Lamont Butler or Jackson Robinson back into that mix, or a Kerr Kriisa back into that mix, and you're like, wow, we're way better. We have a lot of confidence in that. You get your work from confidence. I was really blessed. I talk about this all the time, but one of the great blessings in my life was my first couple years in the league. I got to play for Larry Bird, one of the most confident, players to ever stride up and down the sidelines. on the court of Boston Garden. And he always talked about, for him it was math. His confidence came from his work. He worked harder than anybody else. He took more shots than everybody else. He didn't just deserve to take the last shot of the game because he took more practice shots than anybody else. He actually believed he deserved to make it. And I think confidence comes from practice and preparation, and our guys have had no shortage of that. So I think we have a lot of confidence in these guys.
How much does it help Travis, Trent, Colin, even if those three guys you mentioned do come back? If something happens in the tournament, one of them goes down, or even if some foul trouble, whatever, one of those three has to play against a really good team in the NCAA tournament. How much does this last few weeks help that?
Well, I think there will be less wondering and more excitement, right? Less sitting there wondering, if my role gets expanded or gets expanded more. They've already gone through this real expansion in real time period, and so there's less wondering and there's more excitement about it. That's where I would hope we would live with those guys, and they've all earned the right to have an impact. When and whether and if guys come back or not, they've all made terrific contributions.
Any update on those three guys? Any plans to put them in practice maybe today, or any chance they?
Yeah, so Lamont is going to get a little bit of live action today. Live, when I say live, modified, and Jax is going to be in some skill stuff today. How about that? That's good stuff. That's like tease you with that right now.
You brought up Kerr on the radio show earlier in the week. Is how do you balance with the medical redshirt possibility with kind of the window getting tight? You did mention that he didn't want to play to close out the year. How are you kind of balancing those two things?
Yeah, so with Kerr, it's just a race to get healthy if he can. That's kind of the deal is can he get healthy? Can he get there? We're still farther away than we anticipated being, and so certainly the window is getting tight right now because from where he is right now, the steps he would have to take from here to get back on the court to be cleared to play are a little bit extensive, but we're kind of fighting every day the best we can to see if we can get him closer. He is working to do that too. So it's just that's just if we can find a way for him to play, he's going to come help us play, and if we can't, then he won't.
Mark, it looks as though Carr is now playing a lot more in the games. You're giving him more minutes and stuff. Is he close to being what he was before the back and stuff? And with the expansion, as you call it, of what Amari's doing, to have them both on the court at the same time for extended minutes, how does that change your offense?
Yeah, it was great to have Drew play so well against Vandy. It felt like our guy was back a little bit. I think it's been a combination of him getting healthier and also getting more confident with, his health situation. It's a little bit both, confident what he can do. Our performance team's done an unbelievable job kind of helping him work his way back. Back issues are no joke, right? And so he's done an unbelievable job, and he's feeling good. Even after the game, he played his most minutes and his most physical minutes that he's played since he originally went down, and he felt pretty good after the game. Rolled into the gym yesterday feeling pretty good, and so he'll be a full practice guy today. That's probably the most important part of it. But it's great to have him back. He's incredibly important. He's a leader of this team. He's one of our leaders, and you can be a leader on this team if you're not participating, if you're not going at full speed, if you're not. But there's just more impact when you're resuming your role and the impact you have on the team on the court during games. It just is. There's no way around it. Your leadership voice gets stronger. So we're grateful to have him back playing great basketball, and also grateful to have his full throttled leadership voice back. Both those things will really help us.
Both of your big guys can have a level of nastiness to them, I think, on the court at various times. How beneficial is that in that position group? Is that the position group you would most like for that to be? I think Andrew used the word salty to describe.
Salty is a great word, isn't it? Salty. It's a great word. It's important in this league right now. If you don't have a little bit of that, you're going to get punked every single night. And our guys have some of that, right? Our guys have a little bit of, they have high standards for themselves. They have high standards wearing this jersey. They have high standards for our team. They have a real competitive flavor. And so that comes out, and it comes out in a a productive. It's increasingly coming out in a really productive, intentional way, that's the key, right? But we feel like we have a group of bigs that are prepared to compete with any group in the country.
I know you have a special relationship with all your players, but it does seem that your relationship with Colin is pretty deep, like bamboo. But anyway, when you see him perform like he is, when in the past there have been times when people say, why are you playing it so much? Does that just give you an extra bit of satisfaction?
Well, I think what you love as a coach is watching guys grow. And growth is complicated. We would all like to get better every single day and actually see the results improve every single day. But that's just not how growth works. It's not how learning works. It's not how coaching works, and it's not how growing as an athlete works. It's fits and starts. And probably part of the magic of coaching and the magic of building a locker room and guys functioning together in a locker room happens in between the growth spurts. And it goes back to the roots growing part. Like, you can be going backwards in your performance on the court in games, but actually be growing deeper roots that are going to allow you to grow bigger later. I think the same thing happens in the classroom. I think the same thing happens in people's families as they're raising their children. Throw Shay under the bus. Shay spent a couple days grounded, a few weeks ago, and she's perfect, but that might have seemed like a setback, but it wasn't. It was actually a place where she really gets to grow, and that's every aspect of life that's true. And so with Colin, that holds true, and it's in those in between spaces where you're not seeing results, where you're still fighting. That happens to every athlete and every human being on the planet. It's in those in between spaces where I think the real magic happens, that keep you afloat, that keep you in the game, so that you can actually get around the next corner and experience the growth. I just think that's life. That's our lives. It's one of the for me, growth equals joy. That's just for me. Like, when you grow, it's inspiring, and it's like it's not happiness, it's a joy and a satisfaction that comes from actually witnessing growth, from doing things that you didn't know you could do, that you want to do, you dreamed about doing, that you're excited to do, that you worked your whole life to do, but you don't know if you can actually do it. And that's where that joy comes from, that great growth, and this growth process is complicated. A lot of times we just throw our hands up, like, it's too hard. I'm not going to grow anymore, and I think that's when we die. And I think those are the saddest times. And so I love this process. I love the process of growing. I just think it is life. And as a coach, there's nothing more satisfying than watching your guys grow. And sometimes even when your guys feel like they're going backwards, as a veteran coach, you're like, nope, you're not going backwards. You're actually growing, and that's pretty cool to watch.
Mark, you mentioned on the radio the other night with Curry that he meets the components of what it would take to receive a medical red shirt for next season. But given that you mentioned how determined he is to come back this season, when you talk with him, does he even acknowledge about potentially coming back next year, or is that like that's just too far down the line? Yeah,
right now we're just in the day-to-day of just saying, hey, can we make the next step? Can we just get to the next step? And there's also frustration with how your body responds sometimes too, right? And so that's just a process of trying to figure that part out, and it's much more next step than it is end step. We got a birthday today. Yes, we do. It's true. You're not celebrating? One of the all-time greats in the business. Happy birthday. Super great for you, my friend. Have a great day, guys.